everyone, my name is Dan Shimolinski. People like to call me Chimy, and you can too. I am a bassist, composer, and sound designer living in Los Angeles, and we are back in my studio today to take another look at a brilliant Soundpaint library. This is from the Hybrid Cinema series, and it's very highly anticipated because I've been reading your comments, and I know that you've seen this library in my list for a while now, wondering what it is, when it's going to become available. Well, that day is now, and I am pleased to introduce you to Analog Modular Percussion. Analog Modular Percussion is filled with so many goodies, it's unbelievable. How many, you might ask? 10,800 real-time samples, heavy amounts of round robins, lots of velocity stuff happening. I mean, it is just the most detailed, dynamic library that's supposed to just encompass the entire score of scoring with modular percussion. And modular percussion in film scores is something that you might not be able to pick up immediately, but when you hear some of this stuff, you're going to be like, oh, that's in everything. I know I use the word underscore a lot, but that is kind of the name of the game here with Analog Modular Percussion. We're talking low kind of thuds, just heartbeat kind of stuff to keep a scene moving or to just kind of, build suspense, just all this analog goodness that we're going to jump into. All of this stuff was created with analog modular synthesizers and various levels of treatment. And so as a result, you get a lot of really organic, alive sounds that are just going to put your scores and your soundtracks ahead of everybody else's. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So as with everything, I think, in Soundpaint, it's organized in a really, really methodical, clear-cut way. I mean, there's just no doubt as to what all this stuff is, right? I mean, we have our clicks, high booms, high drum hits, low booms, low drum hits, low pulses, non-tonal high toms, medium toms, low toms, strum, chirp, chop. It's just all these great descriptors that just kind of give you a good idea of what's going to be in your part before you even click on it, which is, in my opinion, the goal of just getting to sounds faster. I'm not going to waste your time and count these one by one. If you want to pause and do the math with the numbering and all that stuff, be my guest. But I think one thing that you'll gather with almost everything you get in Soundpaint is that you have everything you'd ever need within a specific category and about 40 times more. I mean, there's just so many different types of sounds in here. It's beautifully sampled. The round robin stuff just kind of keeps stuff alive in a way that you really can't emulate with like a VST or a software synthesizer. I mean, it's just so organic, and everything makes sense. I mean, clicks, high booms, high drum hits. It's just everything is labeled as you would wish it to be. So just real quick, as always, we're going to go through the parts just to give you an idea of what some of this stuff sounds like. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's just start with these clicks. Now, analog clicks, this is something that Trolls actually introduced me to because it's just something I never thought of from a practical perspective in terms of programming, or at least I guess I have, because I talk a lot about how I try to, define my attack sounds and I try to really, shape what the start of my note sounds like. Clicks are great for that. It is quite literally either a filter or a volume envelope at the decay set pretty much at 0 and the sustain set at 0. So you're just getting the natural sound of the envelope closing. And, it sounds pretty boring, but, based on the wave shape that you have, based on whatever synth you're using, the clicks can actually sound pretty different. There's a lot of older synthesizers where if you do this based on, repeating a single note, the variance of the decay will be actually quite defined, which is very, very cool. Something that we'll get into later. I'm definitely going to use these clicks for our making a sound from scratch because they're super useful. And then high booms are high booms. It's almost like chorus on that one, right? So getting some envelope to pitch action there, lots of filtering, maybe some white noise worked in. I mean, that's so useful. Such an interesting sound, and really just as you're going through it, it's like wow, it's the same concept, but so many different ideas. And I'm just limiting myself to like a short range here. This is scaled across the full range of the key bed. Let's check out some high drum hits. Some low booms. Some low drum hits. I love these. These are my favorite. This one in particular, number 4. Ooh. It's just got a little fuzz on it. It's really, really nice. But, I hope the budding sound designer in you is listening to this stuff just saying, give me that. I need that now. Because, I mean, depending on what you're doing, if you're trying to do sequences or action stuff or underscores, perfect. But there's just an endless amount of usability here in terms of the shape of these sounds. Like, what if I grabbed one of those low booms and morphed it with another instrument to kind of almost taper the pitch of another timbre with the pitch drop of these low booms? I think it's just so cool. But yeah, low drum hits, and then you've got these low pulses, which this is kind of the sound that I think you're going to be most familiar with in a cinematic capacity. Hope you're listening to this through headphones or good speakers. Should have said that in the beginning. But you throw some velocity in that, you do a sequence, and all of a sudden, it's just really super useful stuff. Then we get into these non-tonal high toms and low toms and medium toms. I don't even know how that was created. That's could you hear those through like a nice delay, or like maybe you have 2 layers and they're just slightly out of phase to kind of have like a almost chorusy effect? I mean, that's just, yeah, throw that into a sequencer and Arp, you're golden. Strum Chirp, this one was interesting. Strum Chop. Just trying to give you a picture. We'll get into the playing demos with programs in a second, but then you've got some textures, which are super useful. These are kind of more like, almost like, I'm kind of hearing like what are those sticks called? Like the bamboo sticks where they have all of the small, someone in the comments will tell me, but that's what I think of when I'm hearing these drums. High toms, always super useful. And as I'm going through these parts, what's different about them? Obviously, there's timbral differences, the waveforms, but you're also getting slightly different envelope speed. So like 2, for example, is like nice, tight, and punchy, but like there's a roundness to it. And then 3, really fast. So just a huge variety. That's a quite long decay. Anyway, you get the picture. Tom's low, tom's medium. That's basically it. But there's so much there, right? As good as these parts sound in isolation, they will sound better in a ARP through these amazing programs. And there are so many here. I mean, you'll get all of these with modular percussion. I think you can see the point at which I gave up hearting my favorites. It's right around here. I was like, oh, these are all good. And I'm like, oh, but I really like that one. They're all good. They are all good, and they all have very different purposes. So let's just jump into this. Let's try Arp Alice. It's just perfection. I mean, that's exactly what you want. Using the chord mode here allows me to hold down 2 notes, as opposed to if I was just going to have it in up, down, or as played. It would alternate between the 2 notes that I'm playing. So chord is an awesome function that I feel like gets overlooked a lot in the ARP section. But that's just awesome. And of course, using the modular clicks, I mean, that's that sound we're talking about. Am I right? It's so faint, but it's so effective. What a great program. Let's check out Burning Kick. Whoa, that's a... It's gonna be cool. Let's try this. Just using toms here. So if you're going through those parts with me going, what am I going to use this for? And this is your context. This is the context. This is the unbelievable usefulness of these seemingly innocent, boring little bleeps and bloops sounds. I mean, you just get in a sequence, you get a nice little delay going, throw it through a little analog distortion, filter to the mod wheel, boom, you're set. Let's check out Dark Pulse. This is from Trolls. That is so cool. Did you hear how when I raised the mod wheel and it boosted that like 1K, maybe 900, 858 region? There was like this, the high clicks just kind of came in. And also, oh, well, that'll help too. It's assigned to the volume of clicks, more so that, but this kind of accentuates that raising of the volume. But oh man, that click, it just gave me some ASMR kind of vibes. Reminds me of like a clicking watch or like a timepiece. Time is running out vibes. If you've seen Dunkirk, you will know that there are some really kind of deep kicks and just, sequences that, aren't actually that complex, but just are the perfect frequency range, the perfect hit through the perfect treatment. And Trolls has done a couple little homages here to that. So let's check it out. Perfect. Let's try 2. Oh yeah, I love this. Look what he's done here. He's put the velocity down on the offbeats, but so much down that it almost sounds like a pseudo delay, and it also is going through a delay, but that's really cool. It's subtle. It's subtle, but man, it's the right thing. And these sounds, I'm telling you, these velocity differences, there's all, I know hidden gems mean something different in Soundpaint than it does in real life, but there are so many hidden gems in these individual parts. I mean, as I'm just playing through them, I'll just push a little harder and I'll be like, ooh, that velocity reacted in a really unique way that I wasn't expecting. And it just keeps you on your toes. It keeps your score interesting. Clearly a Dune reference here. I love it. I love sound designers that give options. That's a really cool thing to just have them chilling out. Say, yeah, you could do some stereo image stuff. You could do some more delay, some more distortion. But it's super effective. I mean, we're talking about really, really subtle. This is like a fine art of crafting these tones. And having spent a lot of times, struggling to get like that perfect pop or that perfect click out of an analog synthesizer, it really sometimes takes quite some time. And so just to have it at the ready like that and throw it into an ARP and just have it be the thing, it's amazing. Let's check out Hologram. Oh, that's a lot of fun. Infection. Whoa. What's happening there? Look at that. So we have a ramp LFO going to the shimmer reverb to almost introduce like a wet dry of like, it's white noise kind of sounding, right? And that LFO is no doubt. That's super, super cool. And it's synced to 1 bar. Ah, oh, that's super effective. Kidding me? Better with 1 note. Super cool. Just massive. Do I need to turn my speakers down? I think I do. Let's see what this one is. The answer was yes. Yes, I need to turn my speakers down. That's super cool. Wow. What's going on there? I want to dive into this because every time I see 4 parts like this, I mean, that's like, those have been chosen for a reason and treated in a way that, really just has the most effective hit. So I'm going to take the effects off and just check out what we're dealing with here. So you got your high drum hit, nice and snappy. And then you have this non-tonal high. So those two together are almost like a call and response for me. One is like hitting very crisply, and the other is from the same family, but you know, a little more ambient in sound. Cool. And then you've got high drum hits 5 down here, nice and buzzy. So we have attack, reaction, texture for me, right? And then what's this fourth one? Body. That has a punch to it. It's got a little bit of a natural slap back to it. And so you put all 4 of those together and, you know, perfectly mixed with volume, some tone adjustments here, some pitch adjustments as well. That is just a beautifully, beautifully crafted hit. And it is, when you put it through all of these effects, just massive. Awesome. That was awesome. I was trying to decide what the where the volume was dipping. Did you hear that? Like the volume was kind of subtly being milked in that kind of low register there, and it's actually an LFO to the tone out of the distortion unit, and that's super effective. Very cool. And once again, we are pairing kind of a more bodied sound with a lighter, more attack-driven sound. So here's the body. Here's the attack. And together. Perfect. Let's check out Slippery. Interesting that the wet dry of the scatter delay, I didn't even really hear that. I want to appreciate that properly. Hold on, let's turn off the ARP for a second. Okay, there's our sound. Nice, very cool. Scatter delay is one of those just like wild cards. You throw it in there just to see what'll happen. You start to mess with some of these tones, and sometimes it really, really works. Sometimes it really, really, really doesn't. But I like it here. Epic percussion. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could use velocity. Oh, that is so cool. What? I'm so used to using LFOs and CCs as my sources, but you can use velocity note response. Wow. That's a game changer. I didn't know that. Okay, hold on. Sorry, this got derailed. Let's actually show off the part. That is so cool. Jeez, I had no idea. That is epic. That is exactly as advertised. I love that. Let's check out Race Car. to hear what that individual sounds like without the arp. What in the world? Okay, hold on. I gotta reverse engineer this one because that is crazy. Okay, so we have our low boom, high boom combo here, giving us 2 envelope drops. Envelope to pitch kind of sound, and then we put the analog distortion on it. Okay, that's adding some more harmonics in there. And then we have this low pass filter. And then I think this is going to be the magic source, magic sauce here. I love this chorus unit. It's so flexible. Messing with the voices and just getting kind of really into the nitty gritty of the modulation section can give you all kinds of crazy stuff like that. One more time for the people in the back. And then you put the chorus on. That is awesome. And then stereo image. Kind of focus it. Compressor to bring it up. Love it. So unique. Oh, here we go. Rumble. Sound. That is the sound. That's awesome. Let's check out Space Station. Awesome. Super awesome. So, just because we're in analog modular percussion and it's all these bleeps and bloops and stuff like that, don't let that stop you from creating kind of a giant washy atmosphere. I mean, you know, just about any parts in here through a grain reverb and a shimmer, I mean, it's going to kind of just wash into this beautiful harmonic soup that's really emotionally effective. Check out Missed Call. Super well treated low hits to kind of just give you like almost like a hip hop sounding kick. I'm curious, I didn't even touch the mod matrix here. So we get some kind of bright dark control there. And then optional, we've got 2 delays. I always wonder when I see 2 of the same thing and they're off, if that means you can choose between the 2 or if they sound good together. So let's just try the first one. Okay, let's try the second one. Let's try them together. I like them together. Man, delay brings it into a completely different category. This was really hard to choose programs, which ones to show you, because I'm telling you, they're all super, super great. These are just the most fun that I kind of was like, oh, I have to show those off. But man, I mean, look at this. This is a ridiculous amount of work, a ridiculous list. And they all are this level of detail, multiple parts, lots of treatment, lots of stuff mapped to mod wheel and velocity. But yeah, this is going to put you right in. If you just got this library and only said, you know what, I'm going to solely live off of the programs, I'm going to make my scoring career off of these programs, you could probably do it. And now, ladies and gents, it is the favorite part of the program, which is to make our own program. And before we begin, I just want to talk a little bit about randomization. And what makes this specific library so cool is you can kind of build in your own little stuff with LFOs and, slight deviations of pitch, creating, velocities in your sequences to try and just make stuff feel alive and organic. But nothing does that better than analog equipment doing these kinds of like super poppy kind of envelope sounds, because, just the nature of analog is going to create slight deviance in like decay time or sustain level or release level. And kind of a great example of that is this low pulse part. I'm just going to play the same note over and over, and I want you to listen to how different they are from the round robins within this part. Check this out. Can you hear that it's just timbrally a little bit different here and there? Maybe it's just an ever so slightly longer decay, but basically I love that is baked into some of these parts. It's really, really effective for what we're going to try to do here, which we got to do it. I mean, I just want to create the dopest like sequence of just that kind of droning, super modular sounding part. And I want to start with this specific part in here because, starting with something that has randomization built in is going to introduce life from the get. And so this is kind of what I want to be my main attack sound, but it's slightly too dark. So I'm going to teach you a trick that I use all the time on programming synthesizers to get that randomization, that kind of slight deviance in your decay or your timbre. You can use LFOs, random LFOs in small intervals to create slight differences from note to note. And the best way I can demonstrate this is to pull up our analog clicks, which, these clicks do have slight deviance in them as well, but not quite as much. It's pretty right on. So I'm gonna pick one. I kind of like that. It's like your classic Pro Tools metronome sound right there. And let's go ahead and do a one note same, because I want this attack on every single note. And what we're going to go ahead and do is pop over to our ARP section, and I'm going to want to just play an ARP 16th notes. Let's go ahead and let me quickly pop over to my DAW sync here, and let's do like 85 or something like that. No, let's keep it at 120 because let's just change this to 8th notes maybe. Right? So there's our kind of just, and we can draw in an interesting shape. That's already giving us some little deviance, but let's check out the envelope here and go to part 2. And I just want you to see the difference of the decay. So just a quick refresher. Decay is the speed at which your envelope comes down to your sustain point. So if our sustain point is at 0, our decay is basically the length of the note. Check it out. I'm going to bring the decay down as I just kind of let this ARP happen. So I hope you're going to see what I'm doing here. But if I go ahead and I throw an LFO on that decay, and I make the range something that just makes a little bit of sense, maybe like keep it in there. And I'm going to keep the note rate synced to, let's do 8th notes actually. And then I change the shape to random. Now what's going to happen is the decay is going to be at a random place every time that eighth note comes around. Are you watching that here? It's subtle, but again, this is the life source of how you're going to keep your sequences interesting, are little micro changes like this. And we can even try even 1. I mean, let's just go 0. Yeah. I don't care if it doesn't fire occasionally. That's really, really cool. So if we, that's just such an awesome little trick. So you're taking and you could do this with anything. I mean, you could do this same LFO to the volume of that part and maybe do like a 20 dB range. That might be too loud, but we'll try it. Yeah. So this is really, really cool. The random LFO tool is something that if you just have in there just being ever so slightly adjusting little tiny things like this, you're going to just get life, and no two notes are going to be the same. So even though you've got this dun 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 drone that we're going to end up with, it's going to be interesting because now we're working with just the attack. We're working with just our clicks here. And I haven't even brought back in this part yet, but we're working with our attack sound, and we're already modulating the length of it through our decay. We're modulating the volume of it through our volume. And then we have velocities being fed from the ARP itself. So let's go ahead and throw in part 1. And I think part 1, now that this is so bright and so present, we can kind of bring this down just a little bit. Yeah. Isn't that cool? I mean, we haven't even brought in the sauce yet. We haven't brought in the low stuff, and that's already interesting to me. That's already percolating in my ears and just kind of really making a very interesting rhythmic sequence. So now let's bring in the body of our instrument. And honestly, I mentioned it earlier. I really, really like this low drum hits 4. I'm going to go ahead and pop these guys off just so we can hear what it sounds like. I'll tell you what, I think it should be a little bit shorter just because I don't really love that I'm hearing so much of the ow, ow. So let's do our same trick here and just see what happens when we bring up the decay and find a sweet spot that we like. And the thing I like about this part is that there is kind of a sizzly distortion in there. So I'm going to actually bring this up on the high side here. And I'm liking it right around that 0.5 second mark. And you know, honestly, I think another LFO wouldn't be unwarranted. Let's keep the randomness there and let's just do more of a traditional kind of sine wave here. I'm going to bring this probably around 0.5. Let's try this range. And I'd like to hear this maybe a little bit slower. There we go. That's doing it for me. That's really, really cool. That's so much. This is a little bright now, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a LFO. No. Let's not do LFO. Let's just bring it down. Cool. Now, let's see if we can really bring even more body into this. I'm almost curious if we could do kind of like a higher sound. Actually, one thing before we keep going, this is officially too loud for me. So I'm going to actually bring this whole guy down just a touch. And great tool here to grab the center if you just want to take a whole region. You like maybe the spread of it, but it's maybe a little bit too loud. Let's check that out. And we can bring back some of that high tone now. So just to hear what everything's doing. There's our part 1. And I'm actually going to go ahead and I was tempted to do another LFO, but let's be chill with this one. Let's do 40% left, and then let's do 40% right. I just want to hear what they sound like in stereo. Yeah. Pretty cool. And then this guy, I think we can actually throw that same LFO, where was it? There, yeah. On this guy, and just do like maybe a 20% in either direction, nice and slow. Oh, that's popping. Sweet. Let's see what happens if we dig around in these high booms. I'm thinking we can get some kind of like higher whiny kind of sound. Let's see what 6 sounds like. That's cool. Let's try 7. 8. 7 the most because it's kind of like a thinner, it's almost like a pulse wave sound to me. It's a little thinner, it's a little whinier, and I'm thinking and let's go ahead and throw an LFO. Not that LFO. Let's do 4th. Change the bias to center. Do maybe 20%. And this one I'm actually going to unsync. I'm hearing a pretty specific speed. Peek at our matrix here. Oh, I skipped 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a MIDI CC automation. We're going to get into a mod wheel thing here so we can really make this a super dynamic sound, but I'm going to have it pretty down starting out and then come up as we raise the mod wheel. I actually want to go ahead and tune this guy. Not that much. And I think we can even make our decay range just a little bit bigger. Let's have it bottom out on part 4, just a little bit higher than we currently have it, maybe 10 dB, minus 10, maybe even plus 1. Nice. And then I think the next step is, this goes really well with distortion, these kinds of like drone things. I actually, in this case, use the digital distortion because it's a little subtler than the analog distortion to me. And it just gives, it's a little more controlled. And, you know, we're controlling so many aspects here that I really need that control for how much I'm dialing in. And I think I clicked on the mod matrix before, but just so you know where we're at here, we've got that random LFO going to part 2 volume and decay, part 3 decay, part 3 pan, and then micro pitch LFO 1, and then also the volume is CC. So let's go ahead and just bring up our distortion and hear what that's going to sound like. So I actually like that so much that I'm gonna just leave it in there always, but not a ton. Let's try this here. Let's go ahead and do our little favorite trick here and just bring the whole range down 5 clicks. I think it's even just a little too much. Yeah, it's blown out the sides just a touch. So let's try 22, and we can also make some adjustments here. Whoa, that's a lot. Hold on. Still, I think maybe around there might be the sweet spot. That's really dope. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just straight up steal that awesome idea of doing the shimmer reverb ramp LFO. I think it would be very cool if it were every 2 bars maybe-ish. So I'm going to pull the pitch mix out because that's just not really applicable for this kind of thing. And then add LFO automation. I've lost count, so let's do 5. And then I'm going to do note rate. Yeah, let's do every 2 bars. Ramp up, and I just want to see what this is going to sound like. Oh, opposite way, my bad. Reverse behavior. That's what we were looking for. Yeah, but we're going to go ahead and cut that in half. That is such a cool effect. I am tucking that one away in the back. It's just awesome. It's super, super cool. And then we can even do, this might be interesting, pitch mix. It's gonna be a lot, but let's go ahead and see what that would sound like. That's super cool. It's not like a perfect octave. In fact, that's the most dissonant I think I've ever heard pitch mix sound in the shimmer reverb, but it works for me. And then I'm going to do just kind of a lot of modulation here and make the frequency really slow. And then I think we can put kind of a cloudier reverb. I'm thinking maybe let's try plate. I am a fan of using plate with a very long time amount, just to kind of just get something sort of washy. If using the tail a bit, not the input. Let's just try this. Just a little bit. Oh, that is cool. Next and final thing we're going to do, and I should have done this sooner, I'm going to grab an EQ here, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this in here, and I just want to really control, after the shimmer, I want to control what I'm throwing into the final reverb. So the shimmer has a lot of high-end information, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a high shelf here, and grab that gain, and then we're going to go ahead and do maybe +5. Yeah, I like what that's doing. And then, holy cow. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and actually grab this band down here and just give a little more body. I typically like to target the 128 to like somewhere in here. This kind of range here, just to give a little more body to the sound. And then I'm even going to do a CC just to give it a boost. So now we're really doing a pretty large crescendo with our mod wheel. The pitch mix is too much. Just dial it back maybe to that point there. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, that's super effective to me. I might throw a compressor somewhere in here just to give even more just presence going into the reverb, maybe post EQ. I debate. I either put the compressor pre-EQ if I want to pull things out of the compressor profile, but I really do like this LA2 here that we have, so I don't think I'm going to need to do that. I might do it post-EQ. So, a quick recap. We have two attacks. We have one that kind of already has some natural analog deviation baked into it. Then we have one that's a little harsher, a little poppier, and we've really put this kind of fine threshold of a random EQ that's synced to the tempo, so that every time the ARP hits a new note, we're getting a new value on both the volume and the decay of this part, which is really controlling the length of our sound. We have a similar principle to part 3 as well, except this time our decay is being controlled by just a slower, more standard LFO. And then we have this kind of like eerie upper frequency high boom thing happening that's like a nasal vibrato pitch. And then we have our MIDI CC1 mapped to distortion. We have it mapped to the pitch mix of the shimmer verb, and just, I think, a couple, what else did we have it mapped to? A couple EQ bands as well. And part 4 is volume. So that's a pretty thick mod matrix, but I think when you pair it with an ARP with some velocities in here, the effect is really quite good. Final playing demo, here we go. suspense, drama, all the descriptors. That is such an effective thing, and it's this is an overwhelming library. I just have to be honest with you. Like I hope I have done this library justice and given you just a full look at what it's capable of. I mean, there's no way I give you a full look. You got a very small look because, as I said, I mean, look at all these parts. Look at all this stuff that's going on. Look at all the velocity stuff, the round robin stuff. I mean, there's so much good underscore meat in here that I just, to sink your teeth into it, you really need to spend quite some time diving into all these parts and what they can do. But once you get this modulation going and you start using random LFOs and you just, really play with it like putty to kind of just create the most on edge. I don't know where the scene's going. I don't know where the LFOs are going. I don't know where the volume's going. You could put a low pass filter on here and maybe do a random LFO to the resonance of the low pass filter to kind of just create even more stuff popping around. It's endless. I mean, it's just so much sauce and it's so good and it's just so that thing. That's kind of the stuff that I really look for as an instrument collector, as a sound designer, is how can I get that thing that's in my ear, that thing that's in my heart, that thing that when you watch a movie like Dunkirk or Dune and you're just like, oh, there it is. Like, yeah, did you know that was created with modular analog synthesizers? Was it created with modular analog synthesizers, or is it just, serum or something? Just, I don't know. But what you have here with this library is the largest possible palette to get you to the sounds that you need. And this was really a fun journey for me to create just kind of this super suspenseful world. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. I really look forward to seeing how you guys use this one because it's endless. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, of course you can use this stuff with other libraries. Of course you need that kind of like thuddy kind of, pop to kind of give a push to maybe an electric bass sound or, some kind of like piano, soft piano, muted cinematic thing going on. Like, this stuff is so useful. I mean, these are all ingredients. This is all your palette, and you are the sound painter, as I like to say. And so, really, I can't wait to see the pictures you paint with this one because it's special. Thanks as always for taking a journey with me, and I look forward to seeing you back here again for another exploration into Soundpaint. This is Chimy, signing out. Take care.